Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Working Life. This podcast covers HR leaders, diversity experts, and employees about how relationships with workplaces have changed over time, especially after the pandemic. I'm your host, Yatin Naik, and I'm excited to unravel the evolving dynamics of workplace in today's episode. Joining us today is a seasoned HR professional, Amit Vaish, VP Human Capital, Optum India. I'll be talking to Amit about the importance of fostering an inclusive work environment and how HR strategies have adapted to these changes. Welcome to The Working Life.
Thank you, Yatin. It's a pleasure being with you on this show today and sharing my thoughts on a massively important topic for the talent community, for business leaders, and for anyone else who has an interest in making their organizations more inclusive.
Great, Amit. My first question, Amit, we have been hearing a lot and talking a lot about DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion as a fundamental driver of workplace culture. What does DEI mean for Optum?
As far as DEI is concerned, diversity, equity, and inclusion for us at Optum is a business priority. It is embedded in our culture and core values, and it really defines who we are and how we operate as a large global organization. It has been our conscious effort to ensure that our workforce understands DEI consistently, and we have a shared understanding of this concept, right? So as far as we are concerned, in our context, diversity is all about nurturing a rich mix of differences, whether in gender or some other form. Equity is all about offering a level playing field, about ensuring that everyone has equal opportunities, recognizing that everyone does not start at the same place in their professional and life journeys. And inclusion is all about fostering a sense of belongingness and connectedness in our workforce. Together, DEI creates a culture of innovation and performance, which is vitally important to help us deliver on our mission of helping people live healthier lives and making this health system work better for everyone. There are really three objectives I'd like to call out as far as our DEI agenda is concerned. These are, I think, foremost, enhancing diversity in our workforce, primarily gender for us, but then also other forms of diversity in India. Looking at understanding and learning from the lived experiences of our colleagues so that we can better support them through fit-for-purpose policies and programs. And finally, it's about education and accountability, educating our workforce, our managers, and our leaders to make sure that they understand why this is important and how they can practice this in what they do. Accountability from a leadership perspective is something that we instill at all levels in the organization, starting with our senior most leaders, to make sure that we are progressing on our DEI strategic objectives. To govern this, we have a robust framework, starting with our Global DEI office, and I can talk more about that as we go along.
Great, Amit. That's very interesting also. And, eventually DEI, efforts like DEI are not the agenda of just the HR, right? And you mentioned that your managers, your leaders have to be responsible for this agenda. But how do you really make that work? How do you keep people accountable or employees accountable for the DEI agenda that you have?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think a very important one, because to me that it just makes the difference between a promise and delivering on that promise, quite clear, right? I think as far as accountability is concerned, for us at Optum, the tone is set at the top. Mm-hmm. And, we have several mechanisms to ensure that it is cascaded to the operating level through progressive leadership accountability steps, right? And, to do that, as I mentioned, we have a pretty robust governance framework, which comprises at the very top of the organization a global DEI office, right, which is led by our Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. And she has a mandate directly from our CEO and Executive Council to drive a DEI strategy across the organization. We have Leadership Advisory Councils, or LACs as we call them, which comprise senior executives who bring thought leadership, who partner with the business on a range of topics. We have employee resource groups at the operating level in countries, which are essentially groups of volunteers who channelize the employee engagement efforts, who bring together groups of people who want to advance diversity and inclusion objectives on a particular pillar of that. So I think all of these just make sure that across the length and breadth of the organization, there is a much higher level of awareness. There are very clearly articulated objectives, and we track and report progress, periodically. From an India standpoint, we have a DEI council, which comprises, senior leaders from our operations and technology teams working directly with our country managing director. We also have a local chapter for an employee resource group that we launched. It's called Women Lead India, to advance our gender objectives in alliance with our global DEI office. So I think those are some of the things that we have in place to make sure that there's clear leadership accountability and ownership to make progress on this agenda.
Okay, that's great. So you have a strategy. You have a buy-in from your employees or from your leadership. But then, how does it get operationalized? How do you say, for example, source candidates of diverse background? And can you talk to us more about the operational stuff that you guys do?
Yeah, so I think from a talent sourcing perspective, we have several, strategic sourcing channels and initiatives that not just our talent acquisition function, but operating managers run the governance bodies that I mentioned. Sort of they advocate across the organization so that collectively, we are delivering on our DEI objectives. If I talk about, for example, gender priorities, right? We partner with a very large number of colleges and universities, many of which are women-only colleges and universities, to go out there and attract talented women candidates who want to pursue careers, with us. As far as veterans are concerned, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Indian Navy that was signed, some time back, to be able to attract veterans who bring valued skills like service orientation, discipline, customer focus, which we value greatly over there. And over the years, I think we've hired, a large number of veterans who perform important roles in many of our teams in India. From a disability inclusion perspective, which is all about, looking at persons with disabilities, we have partnerships with many not-for-profit organizations that help us to identify the right talent pool, align them with job opportunities internally within Optum, also provide the right training, sensitization support for both managers and for the talent pools to make sure that they are successful at the workplace. So I think there is, a whole host of sourcing strategies that we use. And it's not just about sourcing, but I think throughout the hiring and selection process, we have tools to make sure that we are addressing unconscious bias proactively, that all, candidates with the diverse backgrounds are treated fairly, equally. And end of the day, we give them an opportunity to succeed in our workplace. We have a program called SOAR, Strengths, Opportunities, Aspirations, and Results, which is all about enabling women who've taken career breaks to return to the workplace as well. And that helps us to sort of reach out to that segment of the women who are interested in sort of coming back and mainstreaming after having taken career break for family reasons, personal reasons, or other reasons. And I think that works really well for us to be able to attract that segment of diverse populations.
Okay, very interesting. So you spoke about three segments, I would say. One was women, one was veterans, and one was persons with disabilities, right? I'm going to come to each, okay? Let's first come to women. And I know you mentioned SOAR, and I'm going to dig deep a bit here. My question actually is, and especially since you are a tech-enabled company, one, participation of women in a workforce of such a company, and secondly, also some of this, as studies show, that there are women who join in, but the dropout rates are very high. So, from that point of view, what are you really doing in terms of having women to continue and retain them, and then lead to the leadership positions that they can, right, if they continue?
So, Yatin, I think, this is the broken rung syndrome typically that most organizations, across the board have experienced. We're very conscious of that. And we've had a lot of discussions internally and with our global experts to learn from, global best practices and others in the local context as well, to incorporate them in some of our practices and policies and make sure that we are able to consciously do a good job of retaining and engaging our women colleagues when they approach that particular life stage when there is a higher dropout rate as most have experienced over there. I think the foundation for these practices to invest in women talent across the board for all talent, but in particular when we're talking about I think women colleagues is laid through our annual talent reviews that we follow pretty rigorously in the organization. And through these talent reviews, our operating leaders are able to get a very clear sense of where we want to be investing and engaging in, what is the pipeline of future women leaders and how we want to offer them development opportunities to progress their careers, how we want to make sure that they are featuring in our succession plans. And I think all of these outputs with respect to development plans or succession plans are reviewed at the very highest level by our enterprise talent office to make sure that we are consciously factoring in diversity into our talent offerings as well. Now, when it comes particularly to programs that we offer to engage and retain women, I think I'd just like to spend a moment talking about our employee value proposition, which is caring, connecting, growing together. And you see that in the backdrop here as well. So I think EVP is holistic. There are a number of programs and initiatives that we offer for the workforce as a whole so that they genuinely feel that they are part of Optum, a large global organization that values inclusion and diversity. When it comes specifically to women, I think there are a set of programs that we offer to them to engage, retain them, grow their careers, and make them successful. Particularly, I think under caring, I would say we have an award-winning program called Live Well that looks at well-being holistically, right? From the perspective of women employees, we are looking at Care 9, which is a program for expecting parents that helps them to really understand and seek support that they would want, for themselves. We have a program called Raise Well for parents, that seeks out consultation, that looks at, support for coaching to learn from the experiences of others and just make sure that they're able to balance their parenting responsibilities with their, professional responsibilities. So some of those are, unique as far as women are concerned, but across the board for everyone, I think Live Well is all about making sure that we look at well-being holistically in terms of physical, mental, financial, and emotional. The employee assistance program is a very important component of Live Well, where there are trained psychologists who offer consultation and support on a range of topics where women and other employees may need ongoing help, right? As far as connecting is concerned, we have opportunities for our high potential women employees to be consciously coached or mentored by a trained group of seasoned leaders internally who volunteer themselves and who also encourage these high performing women to reach out and seek mentorship opportunities, learn from the best and most successful leaders in the organization, and become successful in the long term with the company. Growing Together, I think a very exciting set of programs that we have offered to advance career development and progression of women. We launched this program called Women in Leadership, which is a 6-month journey to look at investing in a range of skills and capabilities of our high-performing women talent and help them, grow their careers, whether in operations or technology. It is balanced with a blend of business skills, soft skills, leadership skills, which are really required, right, to take on more increasing and complex responsibilities as they grow with the organization. Similarly, United Women Leading in Technology is a program that is focused on developing women leaders in tech, which tends to have, a specific set of capabilities that women would need, to grow themselves in the technology space over there. So I think all of this comprises for a very unique, differentiated set of offerings that have helped us to address this broken rung that you mentioned.
Oh, wow. It seems like you have a broad gamut of initiatives that run across. Now, let's come to the second pillar you mentioned about veterans, right? And especially if you have to talk about from India perspective, ex-army men, is there a proactive approach of hiring or, cultivating that kind of a talent. Yeah.
So I spoke about this agreement that we have with the Indian Navy, but really I think we are very open to looking at other sources as well for attracting ex-servicemen who bring a unique skill set, and who want to make the transition from the services into corporate careers. Besides hiring, of course, we provide them support on the job with respect to cultural orientation, just with respect to functioning in a corporate setup, which may be somewhat different for them, as they make that transition in their career and life journeys. We have found that through our experience, many of them who've been put in specific roles have succeeded. They've done quite well, and they've really enjoyed the challenges that were given to them. And this has set the right example for us to sort of scale up this hiring of veterans, going forward. And we are very excited about looking at more options to do this in the future.
Okay, very interesting. And what about persons with disabilities? And I must say that that is something which I found unique that your company Optum is driving. Is there, and how do you source them, and also how do you include them in your workplace?
Sure. So we have a pretty active disability inclusion agenda as part of our DI strategy, in which we've done a couple of things that have really helped us, advance our not just our DI agenda, but also our employer brand, right? As far as in the opportunity in India is concerned. So we have partnered very closely with specialized agencies in the shape of not-for-profit organizations who have very good understanding of that space. And what they've helped us to do is really identify either speech and hearing impaired talent or talent with locomotive disabilities, and match them to specific job opportunities internally with us, which ensures that we are putting the right individuals in the right roles, and helping them to really understand what it takes to deliver on those job expectations to the satisfaction of their teams, and also enjoy their experience at Optum, right? And not feel constrained with making that transition, to a work life. Besides that, the partners also help us when it comes to educating the managers, the teams, and the individuals, providing them ongoing support and sensitization, and just reaching out proactively should that talent pool require something to assist them. I think we've done this for several years now. Our experience has been positive, and we're very excited to look at opportunities and avenues to continue growing this in the future. I think a very important initiative that we've gone ahead and introduced is a policy that really talks about equal opportunities, especially for disabled employees. And this really ensures that through our hiring processes, through our selection processes, there's absolutely no discrimination for this talent. They have the option, to seek out accessibility where they need a certain flexibility on policies or other programs where their unique needs can be met by the organization. Also accommodation, right? Should they need something by way of support in the organization. We've done a lot, as you can see, in our facilities to make them friendly for disabled talent, and make sure that they are not inconvenienced in any way. So I think these are some of the things that we've done when it comes to disability, persons with disabilities.
Thank you so much, Amit. We covered a wide range of subjects as well as the programs that you spoke about. Really insightful, the kind of work that you and your team is putting together at Optum in India.
Thank you very much, Yatin. It was a pleasure being with you today.